Hello and welcome back to Serie, a Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes! Amazing!
We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie, a Spotlight. This is episode 152 and we're your host Jake.
And Matt.
And we'll be covering all the events of Matchday 14 in Serie A.
Not without addressing our goal of the week. This time it was a Parma man, a man that made his full debut. It was Haj Mohammed who scored, you could call it a delicate curling chip over the oncoming Provedel. Amazing goal. What a way to score your first goal in Serie A, bro.
Shades of Del Piero.
Oh, yes.
Shades of Insigne.
Literally, bro.
Shades of Haj Mohammed, brother.
50 Shades of Haj Mohammed.
What a debut.
Incredible debut. I mean, even beating Lazio 3-1, a team that... Now, what did I tell you, by the way, bro? What did I tell you before the match day started this week? I looked you in the eyes. I said, bro, streaks end, man. Streaks end. And that's what we saw this week.
It's true. He was sat under a tree, pondering, meditating.
An apple fell on my head. And I was like, why does that happen? It's because streaks come to an end.
Streaks come to an end.
Of course, we have to mention our boy Tijjani Reijnders for another spectacular goal, the volley.
It's
but
a
even
shame.
the second one.
It's true.
Pure Messi in that goal.
It's a shame no one could see them. Because the infamous San Siro fog of Milan was there to play.
You know what?
I could barely watch the game. I could barely see anything.
When it's a bit foggy at the start of a game, just know it's going to be super foggy in a minute. Because the fog travels down. Like,
Oof, fucking bare knowledge today, brother.
The commentators they can't drink.
Yeah.
Fog moving down. Like, who's fog? I don't have them. We had Coppa Italia action. We currently have Coppa Italia action ongoing. Yesterday, Bologna absolutely creamed Monza 4-0. Milan, I don't know what happened to Milan. Sassuolo are typically quite a bogey team for Milan, but Milan beat them 6-1. I haven't seen Milan score 6 goals since I don't know when.
It was interesting to see Sassuolo resting players, key players like Berardi,
Thordsvet,
Pierini, their striker.
Pierini.
Yeah, they rested so many of their key players. You'd think
Laureante.
They
budget
would,
Lookman, basically.
You'd think that they'd want to kind of prove that they're up for the fight and at that level, but I guess they're prioritizing Serie B because it's such a complicated league.
Yeah.
And an injury in the Coppa Italia wouldn't be welcomed for Grosso and his men.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as making top 3 over there. You need to come first or second, or else you'll end up playing teams that finished 7th who are ready to eat your throat. There's Fiorentina versus Empoli today. That is the Tuscan derby. Should be quite interesting. And there's Lazio Napoli tomorrow, which should be even more interesting considering how both teams are doing this season. Next week, and then we've got Juve, Cagliari, Atalanta, Cesena, Roma, Sampdoria, and Inter Udinese. So, essentially a full 2 weeks of Serie A. Amazing.
Incredible. Thank the Lord for that, brother.
Yes,
Joey D is in first place in our fantasy. He's maintained his spot. He has changed his name, thankfully. If you're wondering what his previous name was, hop over to our previous episode because I'm definitely not repeating that. And this time his name is Dennis the Manis.
That's amazing. That's also very good. Yes. Well done. Where's my boy Pieter? That fuckface.
He's third. No, he's joint third with Loco for the Choco. They're tied together.
Okay. So essentially he's 4th.
Do you know Sarah, my lady, is in 10th place?
10th place.
Yes. For context, Matt is in 24th. I'm in 21st. We're having a dreadful season. We took the typical Fantacalcio approach where you prioritize goal scorers and assists.
I took the Lega FC approach. I was putting my team together. I didn't even know you could only have two players from the same team. That's a disaster.
But the winner of this fantasy
excuses.
league,
What's this?
The winner of the fantasy league does get a free kit of their choice. So if you're listening and would like to join next season, hop over to our Patreon and you can join now.
Exactly. And there's also Christmas. And in Christmas, Jake and I always get each other a kit. And last season, we had done that hilarious thing where you covered your ears and I told the audience what I'm getting you. And then you did the same thing.
Yeah. Shall we do the same thing?
Like right now?
Right now. Let's do it at the end of the episode.
Okay, if we remember. If not, we'll do it in the next episode.
That's a good idea.
But yes, our Patreon, our beautiful patrons. Thank you so much to Tyson, Tony, Tim, Luca, Tanino, Batman, Choco, Loco, Steve, Stephen, Slooge McNoodle, Greta, Sean, Sal, Robert Blair, Pieter, Nicholas Granda, Michael Tonna, Michaela, Michael Lockhart, Mattia, Matteo, Matthias, Mintoff, Grima, Kyle, Kurt, Keanu, Joey D, Ed, Dikwan, David Vavra, David Mastro Battista, CJ, Lena, Campbell, Nicholas Bosco, Anthony Lokash, Andy, Andrew Batman, Alan, Robert Fleming, Pablo, and Bernardo. You guys and Gials are the absolute best. We love you so fucking much. Thank you. You keep the show on the road. If anyone wants to join the family, it's $3.99 a month. You'll do us the biggest favor ever. This is what we want to be doing, and you'll help us do more of this. So, hop on and join the ride if you dare.
Absolutely. Before one of us gets our girlfriends pregnant, and we'll have to stop the show.
One of us. If you impregnate Sarah, which you might, I don't know, this room will be your kid's bedroom. So that's a fucking disaster.
It is a disaster.
What a disaster.
Even though the posters are ready for them. It's not that bad for the kid.
To be fair, you'll have the coolest kid in the world if you just leave the same thing. Right? I believe you have this week in Serie A, brother.
Yes, so this week in Serie A, Zaniolo went mental after scoring against his former team Roma, while we were sat here wondering, I wonder if Zaniolo will celebrate. Not only did he celebrate, but when he came on, he was frothing to score. He wanted it so badly. And when he did score a nice flick-on header from a corner,
beautiful.
He took his shirt off immediately, ran up to the crowd, put his hands to his ears. Proper moment. Bro, let's get this out of the way quickly. Might as well discuss it because it's a question that everyone is asking. Should he have celebrated? Was he right to celebrate?
So emotions always get the better of you in a moment like that. It obviously meant a lot to him. When he was coming on, he had an entire stadium booing him. Of course, if he scores, he's going to want to shut them up. I think in the grander scheme of things, Roma have given Zaniolo everything as a footballer. A lot of teams would have discarded of him on his first ACL, let alone during his second ACL. I think his problem was not with the club. His problem was with Mourinho. He made it a club problem by trying to force his way out, falling out with the fan base. And because they gave him a little bit of stick back, and then I think he had the opportunity to be the bigger man. And if he would have put his hands up, I would have respected him a lot more. But again, it's an emotional sport. It's football. It was his big dick moment. So let him enjoy his big dick moment, I guess. He's just not one of those professionals that could maybe keep their emotions together in a moment like that.
I think so putting your hands up and refusing to celebrate when scoring against a former employer is a respectable thing. But it's a respectable thing because it takes a particular person to do that. If everyone did that, then it would kind of lose its significance, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
In football, you have heroes and you have villains. You've got heroes who become villains. You've got villains who become heroes. It's part of what we love about the game.
It's his storyline.
It's his storyline, exactly. And him choosing to do that is his decision. And I couldn't help but sit back, full of adrenaline on my sofa.
Brilliant, it's brilliant.
Loving every second of it.
Because
you're
not a Roma fan.
Because I'm not a Roma fan, yes. But I'm sorry, I witnessed Çalhanoğlu
scoring
a penalty against Milan, doing this not to his fans, but to the Milan fans, you know? And at that time, I thought, this is his arc, you know? You think, son of a bitch, but you can't say, because he owes the club so much and whatever. First of all, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, because Roma fans are super...
That's always the case.
We don't know what happened behind the scenes as well. Yeah. And yes, for me, it was just such a powerful moment, man, and I really enjoyed it.
No, it was brilliant. It was the positive highlight of this week, obviously.
I mean, imagine if everyone were a respectful player, we wouldn't have ever seen the likes of Jamie Vardy, who's such a shithouse, or Martinez, the keeper, the Argentinian keeper. Like these are the types of. These are the players who make the game so interesting to watch. The characters that are dying out. While everyone's becoming, so correct and proper and robotic in front of the camera, you have these guys who really stand out. And I'm all for it.
Chaos. Yeah. Chaos. No, they make the sport, not what it is, but they make it a lot more entertaining. I enjoyed watching that. I just couldn't help but feel a little bit for Roma when it happened. Yes. Especially with the situation they're in. Like Lecce have caught up to them. Yeah, literally.
And Genoa have overtaken them. So, yes, continuing this week in Serie A, Dobvik played against Atalanta with his name misspelled on his shirt.
Yeah,
and in fact...
They spell it the same way you say it. You always say Dobvik.
Dobvik? Is it Dovbyk?
It's Dovbyk, eh?
Bro,
D-O-V-B-Y-K.
when I see his name, I become dyslexic immediately. Like, I would have made that mistake on its kit. I didn't even realize when watching the game.
Bro, we used to say Dobvik. And then one day, we're on the episode where it's like, it's Dovbyk, we need to start saying Dovbyk. We said this on air. Next sentence, okay, so Dobvik. And you just haven't stopped calling him Dobvik.
And I even wrote it, Dobvik, look at that. So yeah, I was the kit man. Toure of Udinese, the 6'7" centre back.
Isaac Toure.
Yes, he got his second red card of the season. This time it was after a minute. Not to mention that he's also scored an own goal this year.
Yeah, against Atalanta, he is doing well.
Fantastic start to life in Serie A for Isaac Toure. Yes, of course, Milan allegedly beat Empoli 3-0, but it could all be propaganda because no one actually saw what happened.
Literally.
Like when, it said that North Korea told their people that they won the World Cup. That could be the same thing. Like no one actually saw it.
Crying, going crazy. Oh my God.
A funny moment was Conceição having to go on his tiptoes to see past the ball boy. And also, this one's thanks to you, brother. Pobega has a new Instagram post. We know that he was hungry and he fed his appetite. He was hungry for the game. That was his previous post. Now he's announced that the dog days are over after scoring a brilliant goal in the Coppa Italia.
It's official, guys. There's war pretty much going on everywhere. We're in despair as a planet. But the dog days are over.
The dog days are over for Tommy P, baby.
Tommy P has announced it. Thank you, Tommy.
Yes.
Amazing.
Something else happened, but it's not funny at all.
It's not funny at all. And in fact, this is obviously the first game we were going to cover was Fiorentina against Inter. But 17 minutes in, there was quite a dreadful scene that took place as Bove suffered a medical emergency. He collapsed suddenly on the pitch. He was down tying his laces. He didn't look right. He got up. He was stumbling. All of a sudden, you see him on the floor and you see Denzel Dumfries signaling over for help. Everyone comes rushing and the players formed a barrier around him so that obviously the player has his privacy when going through a moment like that. It was said that Mandragora was the guy that stopped Bove from choking on his own tongue. Cataldi, sorry. Stopped him from choking on his own tongue and put him in a recovery position, which is great to see that certain footballers are trained in those things. He was taken to the Careggi hospital nearby. Initial reports were quite concerning, but there is now a sense of relief knowing that he gained his consciousness later on the evening. And he laid in his hospital bed and even said, "Thank you, everyone." And he even requested to watch the Roma game, which was not a good shot, knowing that he's Roma born and bred. He would have been going mental when he saw Zaniolo.
I hope he lost his stream at that time. His stream went out before he saw Zaniolo do what he did.
It was worrying. He was put in a medically induced coma, but he's awake, he's alert. They also did a scan where they noted that there was no significant long-term trauma to his nervous system, which actually I think a lot of us are immediately just saying this is definitely something cardiac because it's what happened to Christian Eriksen, and even when it happened to Ndika, everyone was like, it's this and that. I've heard reports that it could be epilepsy, for example. It could simply be an epileptic fit that he had. And I've seen an epileptic fit happen in front of me, and they're not pretty. You think there's something, well, of course, it's not, you're not popping a pimple. It's serious, you know. But hopefully it is something that the young 22-year-old can recover from. The way that the game went, I mean, in those 17 minutes, Lautaro had a disallowed goal, but that's pretty much...
They were debating if the ball had gone out for a throw-in before the goal was scored. So they were about to, like, check the goal. It would have been cancelled.
Yeah. It's gonna be... The game is gonna be played again in February, and probably in full, not like in the Indica situation where they had to play the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But thoughts go out to Bove, of course, and if any of our listeners are religious people, give him a prayer, because he's a young talent. He's a normal young guy, you know,
22 years old. He hates
trains his ass off, and he got to this. He's on loan at Fiorentina, who are having a great season. He's been doing super well, and this is a setback that no human being wants, let alone someone that is carrying out that career, you know. So we wish him all the best. I hope I'm not leaving anything out regarding this.
I think you gave quite a thorough update. I was watching when it happened. It was absolutely dreadful and difficult to watch, and just seeing how the players went from arguing about the goal to something so serious just makes you realize how trivial this whole football thing is, like, and how trivial anything is when life and death come into play. I was, on the one hand, you know, horrible situations, you can get some positives out of them, and it's the unity, the togetherness that we saw from everyone, you know. As you mentioned, I think we were talking before the episode, right? Not on air. You said, like, the stadium felt so silent, you know. Everyone just let the professionals work. The Inter players ran up to the ambulance and tried to convince the guy to get on the pitch, you know. Just the reaction by everyone was just so powerful. And
like, the thing is, obviously, because they're all human, but we forget that, man. But a stadium fell silent. You see Dumfries, the way that he was signaling for help, and both Inter and Fiorentina players moved to tears. There are these moments, man, that, like, when I watched the clip of Bove, I teared up. Obviously, you feel for Bove, but the main reason I teared up is because you see that with everything that's going on in the world, you tend to forget that we're all the same, and we all just, a bunch of us just want the best for each other, man. And seeing that unity, seeing that coming together, man, and you don't see it in politics, you don't see it anywhere else, but you see it in sport, man. You see these things happen in sport right in front of us. That's why it's more than a game. You know, try to tell someone it's more than a game. It's just a game when something like that happens.
No chance, you know? It's just a game. Absolutely, bro.
Football is fucking life, boys and girls. Football is life.
Yes, cheers to that. Now enough with the soppy shit. Is all right. We'll move on, all right? Let's go with Roma, Atalanta.
What I didn't do was the rundown, obviously. So that's the first game, which obviously we will not be covering in that sense. Because Fiorentina it wasn't played. The first game we'll be covering is Roma and Atalanta 2. That's where Zaniolo got the winner. Roma actually looked quite alright in this game.
They looked like Cagliari last season, bro. That's what Matthias, one of our beloved patrons, pointed out, and he couldn't be more, like, bang on about it. They have that flair about them that Cagliari had.
Which is something that is needed, unfortunately, for Ranieri. He's had a tough spell of fixtures, but hopefully now there are a few easier games where he could start getting his team some wins, because they are awfully close to relegation. There was Torino 0, Napoli 1. There was one team playing in this game, and that was Napoli. They actually had 12 players, because Saul Coco, worst miss I've seen in Serie's recent history, failed to even connect with the ball in an open goal, or just hit it completely wrongly. On the other hand, Torino had one man playing, and it was more than almost enough, because Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, the performance that he had bro, if he had that performance in the World Cup, he'd be at City. Like, people would spend 100 million on him if he had that performance in the World Cup. What a fucking show by Vanja Milinkovic-Savic. 4 insane saves, bro. 4 insane
and reflex saves,
bro,
cat-like.
A 6'8", you see him, bro. You said that he looks small, and then when the shot happens, he gets huge.
He's like a fucking,
he's so low
like a
down.
spider monkey, bro.
Literally, bro.
Jumping out of a tree, like, you know, just
fucking spider monkey, bro.
Like,
VMS, Vanja Monker Spidey. I butchered it. Anyway, Lecce 1, Juve 1. Guess who got the last minute equalizer for Lecce? Oh, he's sweet but a psycho. Rebic, he loves a fucking goal against Juve, this guy. It was actually Cambiaso that gave the ball away really cheaply, man. When Juve were trying to...
All these spoilers, bro.
Right? That's what this is, bro.
Cambiaso was the man of the match up until that moment. And the funny thing is that he lost the ball a few moments before he lost the ball again, and it led to a goal.
Okay.
So he lost the ball, and they had a dangerous attack. He lost it again, and then they scored. Madonna. I think that's we'll get into it during the game, but I do think that's a big part of it is fatigue from just having to play every single game because you don't have a bench.
Probably they've got 5 players on their bench. The unluckiest team of the week award is given to Lazio, who had the unluckiest 45 minutes I've seen this season. But what a game it was by Parma, who managed to end Lazio's streak, beating them 3-1. Super organized counter-attacking football is what won this game by Parma. And of course, shout out to Haj Mohamed, who scored his first ever Serie A goal. Milan 3, Empoli 0. Another brace by Tijjani Reijnders in the fog. It was an absolute... You don't see Empoli getting beaten like that this season, but Milan put on an absolute masterclass against them. Bologna 3, Venezia 0. Bologna really needed a game like this. Dan Ndoye really needed a game like this. He scored a brace. Orsolini grabbed himself a goal and an assist. Matt, how do you remember all this? It's because I have them both on Fanta and I beat my opponent 9-1. That's how I remember. Cagliari 1, Verona 0. It was a Piccoli goal, once again against a former team, to win the game 1-0. Great result there for Cagliari, and another fucking loss for Verona. It's looking dire at this stage. Udinese 0, Genoa 2. It was Isaac Tourés' red card that handed Genoa the game. But Patrick Vieira's side will take that victory, as it's now 4 points in 2 games for them. And Como 1, Monza 1. Another week where these 2 teams fail to win.
Yes, and it's becoming very concerning at this point. But yes, bro, I think we should get straight into it.
Yes, sir.
With Roma, Atalanta. Of course, Atalanta beat Roma 2-0 to continue their remarkable run. They actually solidified their position as Napoli's closest competitors in the Scudetto race.
Okay.
Quite frankly, over here, points-wise, they are in second place.
I know they're 1 point behind them.
31. They're the only team in second place at the moment. So, yeah.
Due to the games in hand, naturally.
Yes. All round.
Exactly.
But yes, it all started with a deflected strike from Martin Darun that found its way into the back of the net. Massive celebration from the defensive midfielder over there. I love when Darun scores. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, that infamous Zaniolo goal that happened in the 89th minute to put the game to bed. Brother, there were a few bad misses this game, particularly from Roma. First of all, Lookman also had a goal disallowed for offside in the first half. That's good to mention.
Again, yes. Lookman has really been...
but there was a big miss by Dovbyk.
Dovbyk. Yes.
Okay, there we go. After being set up really nicely by Dybala in the 47th minute, where he kind of... Dovbyk did really well.
Doing really well,
to take the ball down and play it to Dybala. And while Dybala was like trying to figure out the angle for the pass, he made the perfect run in. Dybala chipped it over to him, and Dovbyk couldn't even connect with it. He didn't even manage to connect with the ball. Now again, this kind of takes us back to what we were discussing last week about confidence. Yes, and how even if confidence improves in this Roma side, it might take the striker a little bit longer. because he needs to score before his confidence is going to be back, man. And he needs a goal desperately at this point. And I think Roma need him to score more than he needs to score himself, to be honest with you. Another one came in the 75th minute when Salamakers, who's back, whipped in a delicious ball to Mancini. But Mancini could only hit the ball upwards.
Yeah, he was
a 90-degree outstretched. And then he tried to get the rebound, but he hit it upwards again, which was just comical.
He was leaning backwards, Mancini.
Absolutely. I did all this without reading the lineups, so I'm going to do that right now. Svilar was in goal for Roma in kind of a 3-5-1-1 formation on paper, with Mancini, Hummels, and Indica starting at the back. Hummels had a solid performance over here.
He really did.
He went off injured, of course, and so did Indica. Apparently suffered an injury as well this game. But Hummels was actually forced off because of it.
Even Cristante seems to have picked up a knock.
Celik was on the right, Angelino on the left, with Cristante, Paredes and Kone in the middle. Dybala was playing behind Dovbyk. For Atalanta, it was a 3-4-2-1 formation with Carnesecchi in goal, Kolasinac, Hien and Kosunu at the back. Kosunu, by the way, who at one point almost dribbled his way to a one-on-one situation inside a very tight box. Didn't know he had that in him. Bellanova on the right, Ruggeri on the left with Darun and Ederson in the middle, De Ketelaere and Lookman playing behind Retegui. So, brother, so I don't bang on about this game. What do you think?
About this game in general?
Yeah.
No, I think that we are seeing signs that Roma at least have a bit more willingness to put in a shift and a bit more of a willingness to listen to the coach and just establish this sense of identity where they're not just playing for themselves, where it isn't a battle between the manager, the team and the fans, and there is this slight element of togetherness. And I mean, you see in this game they conceded the first goal in the 69th minute. Now I know that in a not sold out, but in the Olimpico, Roma should be striving for better, but with the situation that they find themselves in, I think they put on a decent showing against Atalanta, especially for Ranieri's second game in charge. Keep in mind, this is their third manager in 14 matches. They've got a side with many new signings like Kone and Dovbyk. Kone keeps on showing us how talented he is. He had another good game over there. Hummels is of course new as well. But otherwise, I think it's a game that Atalanta would have been kicking themselves if they didn't manage to get 3 points over here. And even though they were disrupted by Roma, it shows that they have weapons. That's what Atalanta have. So when you see that they hadn't scored yet and they were already taking out Retegui, you should typically be saying, oh, fuck, they're panicking now. Yeah. They're taking off their top goal scorer. What are they going to do now? But they managed to find their goals from different areas. And the thing is, they've got players that are adventurous. They've got players that Atalanta just they queue outside of your box and they will shoot and they will shoot and they will shoot. And Roma, the thing that they were doing well in this game, the reason it took them so long to concede is they were putting their bodies behind the ball. They were the amount of shots blocked in that sequence before their own scored was ridiculous. They were putting in a shift in that sense. But Atalanta they're so direct and they just keep knocking and keep knocking and keep knocking. And then they scored, and then the second you see Zaniolo coming on and the entire stadium booing him, you're like, it's going to be 2-0.
It's done.
And it's going to be Zaniolo, you know?
Yeah, and every time he got on the ball, he had one thing in his mind. He was just playing so directly, man. Attacking every single chance he got, and he looked like he was starving for a goal at that point. Like he wanted it more than anyone else on the pitch, and he got it, in fact. Yeah. And he got it in the last way you'd expect him to get it.
Right,
like a flick-on header from a corner. Yeah. I was particularly surprised by Ranieri's approach when it came to the midfield three. Not necessarily surprised, but I'm surprised by Paredes and how well he's kind of managed to fix this balance issue that Roma had, because they do look more balanced with him in the middle. Cristante, Paredes and Kone is a very physical midfield three, and most of them are quite capable on the ball as well. So they're not really missing out on much, you know?
I think it's a mistake to play Pellegrini in a system like this. I think playing Pellegrini in a system like this is not using him to his strengths. If Pellegrini fits anywhere over here, it's in that Dybala role, which even I don't really fancy him too much in nonetheless.
Yes.
But it's definitely a role closer to goal where he needs to play.
He wasn't even brought on this game, which speaks
wasn't brought
volumes of his form at the moment.
Exactly. No, but that midfield three, you're right. You've got Paredes, that's a bit more of a metronome over there. You've got Kone, who's a box-to-box, and Cristante is that disruptor that can even slot into the defense on the attack or when they're piling men back as well. So, it's interesting to see. I'd love to see the statistics of this game. So when it comes to, it's quite even possession-wise.
Yeah.
Just Atalanta way more obviously expected goals.
And the shot on target stat is skewed because when it comes to big chances, Roma had 2 very big chances.
Yeah.
2 massive chances. And to be fair, to be honest with you, Atalanta should have also scored the third when Ederson was played through by Brescianini.
Yes.
He failed to hit the target.
Yeah, the terrible miss as well.
Yeah. So but 3 big misses
this is the good thing about Roma, what we're starting to see. We're not seeing them get blown out of the water. And last week we said they stayed in the game. They were just 1 goal away from equalizing. They managed to stay in it. In this game, they were doing the same thing and they even had opportunities to score. But there's this lingering shit form that some players are carrying. So Dovbyk, for example, he should be nailing those chances.
Absolutely.
And what Dovbyk has, unfortunately for him as well, is the sole responsibility as the sole striker. Because he's not in a system like Atalanta have, where if Retegui isn't getting them, then there's Lookman who could play striker, there's De Ketelaere who could play striker, there's Scamacca coming back. He's not surrounded by talent that can also help put in a shift for the team. Dovbyk's a lone striker.
And the ball attracts a lot of attention, so obviously more pressure on Dovbyk. Yeah, that's true.
Their entire system is get the ball to Dovbyk so he scores. If Dovbyk isn't scoring,
then the system doesn't work.
Who's going to get you the goals? Cristante, Paredes,
in fact,
Celik.
It didn't even take long for Ranieri to fall back on Shomorodov, who he used to deploy at Cagliari as well.
Yeah.
He actually brought him on this game. But yeah, man, I think Atalanta fully deserved this victory. Simply by the way they play, the pressure they put on teams is just second to none. Ederson is one of the best midfielders in the league, and if not one of the most underrated midfielders in the world.
I agree.
We've already seen interest from big teams like Liverpool, the mainstream teams at least. He can do it all, and this game he absolutely dominated the midfield and he dictated the tempo. And his progressive passes were really good as well.
Yeah.
I think De Ketelaere played a really good game as well, kind of a shadow player this game, creating a lot of space for Lookman and Retegui. Retegui, it wasn't really his day, but as you mentioned, man, they have so many alternatives that they don't even need a striker.
No.
They have so many creative players, even Samardzic, man, the fact that he's being utilized so late on in the game, where he was a player who was so important for Udinese last season. He's playing really well.
And another good thing, if the best thing Retegui could be doing is obviously gunning to be the capocannoniere, because that's going to do 2 things. A, it's going to fuel him with confidence and he's going to keep on banking goals and he has that target in his sight. But B, the defenders are going to double down and mark this guy. If you double down and mark Atalanta's punta, their striker, that's when CDK...
That's what they want.
Exactly, that's when CDK comes out to play. That's when Lookman comes out to play.
So at this point, it's true, Retegui being the top scorer of the league serves as a distraction from players who are potentially more dangerous.
Bro, Lookman and CDK, who are unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable ball by the Ketelaere. I love that guy.
He's the best.
That commentator is amazing. If you watch it on TSN, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Apparently, he was a centre back.
He was.
I don't know his name though.
I don't know his name either. Kendrick introduces him every episode, every game, every episode. Wow.
We missed our favorite garden gnome this game. Gasperini wasn't there. I forgot to mention.
Suspended,
Yes, Gritti, the assistant manager, was in his place. Tullio Gritti.
He looked like a VIP, Gasperini, in his little box there. Little box, cute man.
And lastly, Bellanova. Those overlapping runs are insane. He's really found his rhythm.
We said instantly that he is the perfect fit for this Atalanta team, man.
It's true, but I was always worried about the fact that, and I've said this before, that against teams who sit deep, he might struggle. But he's still finding success, man. Bombing forward and in tight situations. He's really changed his game.
Then again, that's when Atalanta seem to struggle as well. So he won't be alone in that sense.
Fair enough, yes. Let's look at their position in the table after this game. So, of course, as we already mentioned, Atalanta are in second with 31 points, just 1 point off of Napoli, while Roma find themselves in 15th with 13 points. They are 1 point behind Genoa, 1 point behind Cagliari, equal on points with Lecce, and 1 point ahead of Verona, and 2 points safe from relegation as it stands. What a disaster, bro. They've got 7 losses.
Where do they end up, man? They're like, at least, the Tinker Man was in exactly the same situation last season with Cagliari. And they didn't get relegated, so they've got an experienced man.
Yeah, no, that'll be fine, of course. One of our patrons, Luca, was asking me, what are the odds, bro, for Roma to get relegated? I'm going to do it. Don't do it, bro. Don't. You're insane. Shout out to Luca.
Yeah.
Yes, so I think that they will go on a good run, but I think that for them the season's pretty much already a write-off. I highly doubt they'll even be pushing for anything close to Conference League, even if they get a good stretch.
If they get Conference League, it's huge.
It would be massive, honestly, at this point.
Because it's 14 games in. I know they're still mathematically a long time, but they're 14 games in, bro. 14 games into the season.
Yeah, they're less likely to get Conference League than Milan are to win the Scudetto, mathematically.
There you go.
So that's
Come on, Milan.
Come on.
Next up, Torino-Napoli.
Yes.
Torino 0, Napoli 1. Torino, coming into this game, they were winless in 4 matches where they had 3 losses, and they're now winless in 5 with 4 losses. Napoli, obviously, the league leaders. Torino lined up in a 3-5-2 formation with Vanya in goal and the backline of Mazina, Koko and Valukovic. Voivoda was on the left, Pedersen was on the right, and the midfield three of Genetis, Linetti and Ricci was formed, with Shea Adams and Sanabria up front. Obviously Zapata out for the rest of the season, so they don't have a target man over there. 4-3-3 formation for Conte's men, at least on paper. Meret in goal, a backline of Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Bongiorno and Oliveira. Anguissa, Lobotka and McTominay formed the midfield three with Politano, Lukaku and Gvara up front. Now, McTominay's decisive goal in the 31st minute gave Napoli a narrow but deserved 1-0 victory over Torino in a game where the visitors were clearly the better side, dominating large portions of the match, creating several chances, but Vanya Milinkovic-Savic's heroics in Torino's goal kept the scoreline tight. Torino's best opportunity came from Saul Koko in the first half, who failed to convert an open goal, further highlighting Toro's lack of cutting edge. With this win, Napoli solidified their top position in the Serie A. So, naturally, there's... By the way, I think it's actually pronounced Koko.
No.
I think so.
Koko.
I think it's Koko.
God.
C-O-C-O, it's not Koko.
Well, how do we know? It might be Koko.
I think it's Koko. I heard someone else say Koko, and I'm like, that's perfect. I'm just going to call him Koko. It means poop in Maltese.
Maltese, yes, means poop.
So, it's funny, huh?
I prefer Coco, because I'm in love with the Coco. Coco.
I'm in love with the Coco.
Coco melon. Soon, and here, Coco melon.
What do you mean, Coco melon here? You're going to have a kid, though.
Yeah, I'm not actually going to have a kid. Yeah.
Napoli don't score a lot of goals. In fact, they only have 21 goals this season. That's less than Atalanta, it's less than Inter, it's less than Fiorentina, it's less than Lazio, less than Juve, less than Milan, and just one more than Parma. Conte has arrived, he's playing once a week and he's winning 1-0 pretty much every other game.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what he wants. What do they run the risk of? If they keep winning 1-0, it's obviously what happened to Juve this match there as well, where a simple individual error allows the opponents, in that case Lecce, equalize. So, how sustainable is this model?
I think against certain teams, it's more sustainable than against others. In teams that aren't very dangerous or are down in form, like their last 2 games, first one against Roma, second one against Torino, you can get away with it because you're not against a team that gets goals out of nothing. Obviously, it is risky because all it takes is one slip up, one mistake that everyone's capable of. We've seen legends,
Coco had the opportunity.
Exactly. Coco literally could have put them could have put them in the lead at the time, or would they have equalized?
They would have equalized.
They would have equalized, yeah.
I believe.
So, yeah, it is risky, of course. It's a risky model. However, with Conte, this is one of his strong suits. This is where he really rallies his players. And I think players understand that if they do make a mistake, they're gonna get fucking shafted by Conte, you know.
Yes.
He's going to criticize the crap out of them. He's gonna punish them. So I think they're on high alert. I think they're well drilled, and I think the chances of a Napoli player slipping up are actually lower than most teams, simply because of how on them their manager is.
Yeah, no, that could be the case. It could also be the case that if you're a bit more fragile mentally, that could get the better of you. But I think I'm being hard on Napoli for only scoring 1 goal because Vanya was
he was amazing. Yeah, yes, that's the thing. I mean, what was their XG?
1.41.
Okay.
1.41. But they had 6 shots on target, bro. 4 of them were incredible saves. Incredible saves.
So, first of all, that Lukaku shot, had it gone in, what a goal. And he had no time to relax, and there was a player between him and Lukaku. So I don't know how the hell he saw it to get down that quickly. And that was probably the 3rd best one he made. Because there were some that were
the one from the close-ranged header, bro, when he got down. Yeah, it was unreal, man.
It was
unreal, that save. And we were talking about how Conte would it be to sign
him in January,
to sign a goalkeeper in January. They just saw firsthand in front of them one of the best goalkeeping performances I've ever seen. Conte will be taking notes. But Torino don't seem like the kind of team that's going to. Firstly, they don't spend the money that they make. They've already apparently said no to Guardiola, who wants Ricci in January. They've already apparently turned him down. Now, there's obviously hearsay in that sense. So I don't think it would be straightforward to get one of the best goalkeepers in the league in January. But Conte will try, yeah? I think he will try.
Torino with Juric had maintained themselves as this team that was just outside of Europe. So it was easy to kind of tell your best players, listen, we've got a project here.
Yes.
We just need to bring in a few more pieces. You are going to be the centerpiece. Let's get Europe together. It's going to be tough now. And this team is packed with talent. Starting with Vanya, Milinkovic-Savic. Ricci is on everyone's radar. City want him, Milan want him, everyone wants Ricci. Everyone wants him.
Everyone wants him.
Not to mention as well the likes of who else is there here?
Well, actually, to be honest, bro,
not much talent actually over here.
Shea Adams and Sanabria up front, you know, it's nothing to write home about in the slightest.
It's true. They've taken a bit of a they've taken a downward trend when it comes to talent. They had more.
And I'm not a huge Vanoli fan from what I've been seeing. Yeah. In fact, I said it was weird that they got him in the first place because it's not like Venezia blew everyone out of the water. Venezia were scrapping in Serie B to make their way up. I think they took a punt on the wrong guy. And their form, bro, if you look at, 1 point in the last 5 games, that's the form of the bottom teams. And if they're not careful, bro, with their inability to win games at the moment, they're going to start slipping down the table. And they're going to be where they were before Juric even joined.
With Mihajlovic.
Yeah, with Mihajlovic.
Exactly. Yes.
And it's a dangerous game they're playing, Torino.
It is, and there's drama from top to bottom, of course, with pressure on the owner to sell the club. Cairo, of course, he's even addressed it himself. He said he plans on... He can't be the president forever, and he plans to
cashing in,
to kind of sell them to someone who is more financially... who's financially better off than he is.
Red Bull.
So yeah, Red Bull would
Red Bull have been interested.
RB Torino. Imagine that. That would be absolutely incredible. incredibly controversial, am I right? But it would be very exciting, I think. But yes, this Torino team leaves a lot to be desired, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fire sale or if teams come knocking and players start forcing their ways out.
At least they've got assets that they can.
Yes, I mean, Ricci alone could fund an entire transfer market for them.
Yeah, pretty much. They could get 50 million for, especially if the Prem teams come knocking. McTominay, again, decisive, clutch, and complete in that role. I feel like he covers ground extremely well. He's a very passionate player he's probably the hardest working player on the pitch whenever Napoli play. He's a professional. I feel like he is Conte's guy in midfield.
In fact,
and again, clutch, man. Clutch.
3.
The goal he scored was great. That's a strike. He knew where the goal
on the
was.
turn as well.
He had little time. He was off balance. How do you hit a ball that low and hard into the bottom corner when you're off balance, man? With all those bodies in front of you. He's great, man.
It makes sense why Scotland deploy him as a
striker
player. Yeah. I credit his success to 3 factors. First of all, himself, because he's a perfect professional. He's so hardworking and he's so hungry. His desire is very clear for everyone to see. Conte, because this Napoli is a perfect fit for him. Conte as a manager is a perfect fit for someone like Scott McTominay, because he was always going to thrive under Conte, and Conte is getting the most out of him, and he's made him into a key piece of his team. And lastly, the fans, man.
Yes.
Because the second McTominay arrived, they acted like they signed Vinicius Jr. They were all at the airport clapping, Scott, McTominay, like all going mental for him. And you could see he was smiling like a kid. They made him bashful. In fact, he would have been probably on that flight thinking about United. You know, he had been there for so long. He's like, yeah, God knows what this is gonna be like. You land, you step foot.
It's rough there.
You step foot in the airport, and all of a sudden, people are trying to give you food and wanting to take pictures with you, giving you gifts instead of asking for things. They're giving you stuff. You know,
I tell you, bro, he fell in love with football again.
Yeah,
I think he would have never been completely out of love with football, but he's found a certain passion and love for the game that he wouldn't have had. A certain passion and love that he only finds when representing his country, for example, because that's what it feels like when it's a tight-knit small city that loves the game and they're obsessed with it. Obviously it can go south as well, and we've seen it happen with clubs like Napoli as well, where they're capable of turning on the manager, they're capable of turning on the players, but all is going brilliantly, perfectly, almost for McTominay. And the one thing that he has guaranteed is his spot in that starting 11, because no one fills in that role better. And for a Conte system, had he had Zielinski, who's a way more offensive player, you want him to play closer to goal, there will be a misbalance in that system for him. For a manager like Spalletti, it was perfect.
Had there been Zielinski, then what's his name would be playing? Folarunsho. You know,
probably.
Because he's more Conte than Zielinski. But yeah.
Literally.
I think I'm very excited about this Napoli side. They're really good, man.
Yeah, I really am enjoying them. So obviously I'm going to talk about their league aspirations and about how they're only playing once a week. Now the Coppa is starting, so they're going to start playing a little bit more. Maybe there will be some injuries, maybe there will be some fatigue. Certainly I know one player that might be fatigued in that team, Lukaku.
Yeah.
We've also seen them slip up in their last 5 games. We saw them lose 3-0 to Atalanta, and we saw them draw the game after that. I forgot who was that draw against for them.
One moment, I'll have it here. It was against Inter.
It was against Inter, of course. It was against Inter. Wow, they just had a really tough set of games next to each other. Now they play Lazio twice in a week. So even though they're playing once a week, they are just, let me remind you, they are just 1 point ahead of Atalanta. Inter and Fiorentina have a game in hand. And they're not both going to win that game, but one of them might win that game. And they'll also be 1 point behind Napoli. It's still tight as ever. It's not like they're running away with it. I know last season Inter ran away with it. The season before Napoli ran away with it. But this, I feel like even though they're playing once a week, it's going to go till the very, very end, man. This
I have that feeling as well, because while every team is performing really well in that top 7, or most teams are performing really well, they're all human.
Yeah.
They all look like they can be defeated, and a game between these guys against each other can go any way. Like
Atalanta killed them, man.
Yeah.
They killed them. He outclassed them. I think Atalanta have been the strongest team this season so far. But anyway, shall we jump on to the next, bro? Napoli, of course, are in first place on 32 points, just 1 point ahead of Atalanta, whilst Torino find themselves in 12th place on 15 points and, well, just 4 points ahead of Como, who are in 18th place.
Lecce 1, Rebic's dog 1 for the next one. And I apologize to the Juventini listening about the cover art. I apologize about the jokes I will be making. I apologize about this statistic that I am about to read out. 14th February 2020, Milan take the league against Juve in the Coppa Italia. Rebic scored. 8th July 2020, Rebic makes it 4-2 for Milan against Juve. 10th May 2021, Rebic makes it 2-0 for Milan against Juve. 20th September 2021, Milan and Juve drew 1-1. Milan were totally decimated with injuries, if you remember. Rebic scored that goal to equalize for Milan. Recently, when was it? When was the game? December.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, yes, whatever. Juve won, Lecce won, and the goal came in the 93rd minute through none other than Rebic himself. I think he'll get 2 goals this season. And his second goal will be in the return leg against Juve. It's crazy how this guy always manages to score against Juve.
He hates them, bro.
I think, yes, he must.
He has a passion against
Clearly, yes. So, when it comes to the lineups, Lecce, who are home, had Vladimiro Falcone in goal, who has rediscovered his best form.
Absolutely.
Gilbert, Gaspar, Baschirotto, and Gallo at the back, with Koulibaly and Ramadani in the double pivot, Dorgu on the right, Tete Morente on the left, and Hamza Rafia playing behind Nikola Kristovic. For Juve, who are still going through this injury crisis,
yes,
it was a 4-2-3-1 formation with Perin in goal, Cambiaso, Kalulu, Gatti and Danilo at the back, Thuram and Locatelli as the midfield double pivot, with Yildiz on the left, Conceição on the right, and Koopmeiners playing behind Timothy Weah. So, Juve started the game with a high press and looked pretty dangerous on the counter. Conceição came quite close to scoring early on with a curling shot that hit the post, and Juve had another chance when Thuram missed a sitter off Yildiz's cross. That would have been a good episode name, a sitter's missed or something like that.
That's true.
Lecce struggled to create clear-cut opportunities in the first half, and to be honest in the second half as well, even though they had a few more shots. While on the other hand, Juve, who were led by Cambiaso's strong central runs, he's so good at that,
yes,
looked more threatening going forward, but couldn't break the deadlock, with fatigue probably playing a big issue, because these guys are having to be relied on in all competitions, on all fronts, due to the lack of options. In the second half, Lecce came out more determined. Rafia tested Perin, Kristovic forced Perin also into a few saves. Lecce started to control possession. However, Juve made a substitution. They took out Thuram and brought on Fagioli. It was then that Juve took the lead. Cambiaso shot from out of the box. It deflected off Gaspar and found the back of the net. However, Lecce refused to give up, and it was just shot after shot after shot. They were knocking, non-stop. Hello, come in. Gianpaolo introduced Rebic, of course, and at the end of the game, Cambiaso got the ball, attempted to dribble everyone, lost possession. They almost scored. He did it again, lost possession. This brilliant counter-attack initiated by Lecce. Kristovic took it down from outside the area, whipped it in beautifully low and squared to Rebic, who just tapped it in. Went for the bottom left corner.
He almost fucked it. Almost fucked it.
For the bottom left corner from there. But yes, he scores, puts his hands up. I'm still confused by that.
Hey.
At first, I just thought he was like, just like...
Cold.
Yeah, just being cold with it. But it looked like on closer inspection that he just refused to celebrate.
I think maybe he understands he's had a tough season so far.
Maybe.
And people expected way better.
Or it could simply be the fact that Bove had gone through what he had gone through a few hours ago. Maybe. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Could be.
But yeah, in my opinion, at the end of the game, Juve looked totally exhausted, man. Their fatigue is both physical and mental, I think, because how else would you explain what Cambiaso was doing there? Just running into a wall, man.
And it's super unlike him as well. It's a 93rd minute, man.
Like, it's a 93rd minute and you're winning 1-0. What are you trying to do, Messi?
And the thing is, he did that in a dangerous area. They were cut open the second that happened because instantly the ball was played to the wing and the player was in space. That's where Cambiaso was supposed to be, bro. You know what I mean? So he left his post, left it wide open for them to attack down. It's not just like he gave the ball away. They attacked down where he neglected.
It's true.
It's completely on Cambiaso, who is a world-class fucking talent and the future of Italian wingbacks. A genius, man. Ambidextrous, intelligent, young. He's unbelievable. But that mistake, that's an unforgivable mistake. Because it is stupid.
Unforgivable. It's true.
Stupid.
It's just dumb.
And they need points. They need points. They had.
And he was the man of the match up until that moment, for sure. Because he had a really good game before that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he is... I think Juve have two avenues for playmaking. You've got Cambiaso as the kind of deep-lying playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And Conceição, who is... Conceição and Yildiz, okay, fair enough. But those main points, I think if you neutralize Cambiaso and Conceição, I think you can get away with maybe single marking Yildiz since he's young and maybe easily forced out of the game. While Conceição is much better at like attacking the byline and being direct and taking on a man. I think that this Juve has become a bit predictable, of course, because they have no options on how to play. I'm just going to read you their bench, okay? Benia, number 42. Di Gregorio, goalkeeper. Fagioli, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Decent option, Fagioli. Mbangula, okay.
Okay, but last season we had no idea who he was.
Awusu, number 43. Panyukko, 46. Papadopoulos, 45. Pinsolio, goalkeeper. Pugno, 44. Rohi, 40. You know, like, this is what Giuntoli put together.
Let me read you their injury list. You want?
Yes. But again, read the injury. I have a few points.
Milik, Bremer, Cabal, Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, Weston McKennie, Dusan Vlahovic, Nicola Savona, and Locatelli, who played this game, was even doubtful for this game, so he wasn't even 100%.
Yes. Now, question. Nico Gonzalez and Douglas Luiz. They were meant to be back last game. They didn't play last game. They didn't play this game.
Not fully recovered, eh?
But it's... What's going on? Like, you know, why aren't they fully recovered?
I don't know, man. But they're not, is the point,
Something is strange, you know? I mean, the ACL is granted, that shit happens. Like, but when you have players projected to be making a comeback 2 weeks prior to the present date and they still haven't made a comeback, something is weird. Something's dodgy. I don't know. They have their J Medical, no Juve. They've got their whole, like...
I have no idea. I have no idea if it's something weird or suspicious or whatever. I just think they're going through an injury crisis, and I think it couldn't have come at a worse time because they were doing great defensively and have done great defensively barring one game all season, Juve. I'd say Motta steadied the ship, but to be honest, they weren't even conceding many last season either. So same old Juve in that sense. They were struggling significantly with getting those passages of play put together in order to formulate dangerous attacks. So, and even when they did formulate those attacks, Vlahovic up front was struggling, much like Dovbyk is struggling for Roma, for example. The entire strategy is to get this guy clean through on goal because he's a world-class striker, but then he was missing his chances. But the last thing they needed is a disruption of this nature, because as 14 games in, as the team grows accustomed to each other and as they learn each other and as they play Lecce together and they play Lazio together, they're going through all spectrums together as a team. They learn each other and they get better together. But what they've been hit with now, bro, when we're talking about a lack of familiarity before, let alone the lack of familiarity they have now. Because they're having to bring on players I've never heard of in my life. Who is Pugno, for example? Rui or whoever.
Adam mentioned him in the Juve episode, Rui. I don't know much about him, but next gen players, I mean, it's a real shame what's going on with this Juve team.
Would you call it a crisis, or is it too?
It's an injury crisis. It's definitely an injury crisis. But when it comes to their objective and their goals, I think they're on track. I don't think it's that much of a crisis. I mean, it's 3 draws in a row, I think. 3 in a row? 2 in a row?
2 draws in a row.
2 draws in a row. But yeah, I mean...
Still haven't lost a game, the bloody bastards. They still haven't lost a single game.
That's it. The thing that sucks the most about them is they're not building that kind of chemistry that
exactly.
14 games of football should kind of give
That's
you together.
Exactly where they should be
so
right
Douglas
now.
Luiz, isn't building any kind of chemistry. Vlahovic needs to be playing as much as possible if he's the guy.
Exactly. And let's hope they do something about that striker situation again in January, because, I mean, even with Vlahovic they were struggling, and now they're needing to play Timothy Weah up front.
Yes.
And then other than that, they've got Arkadiusz Milik, who's currently injured. So Xerxes just scored 2 for United, so I don't think he'll be going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to need to get creative with that.
Yeah, and Xerxes was dropping deep as well for United, like the way he likes to play. So things are looking a little bit sour for Juventus. But the good news is that these injuries should be over soon, in theory, for most of these guys. Like Douglas Luiz, Nico Gonzalez and McKennie should be back very soon. Even Savona, right? And even Vlahovic to a certain extent. It was a thigh injury that he got, I think, on international duty. Yes, like he should be back. So basically, that's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is that they have to wait till January. It's almost January, and they have to bring in a decent defender and a decent striker.
100%.
I think that's what needs to happen. Yes. But as for the standings, we've got Juve, of course, in 6th place with 26 points, while Lecce are up in 16th with 13 points. Yes, and that is a win and a draw for Gianpaolo. Gianpaolo ball has arrived. We're seeing those passages, and that last goal was a good transition.
Both Gianpaolo and Vieira, 4 points in 2 games for them. Well done.
Yeah, and we're talking about like what kind of impact changing your manager could have.
Yeah. Parma 3, Lazio 1. Huge victory here for Parma, and an unexpected one. Lazio's 7-game winning streak came crashing after a midweek home draw to Ludogorets and a 3-1 away defeat to Parma on this day. Coming into this game, Lazio were 9 wins in their last 9 matches against Parma. So they weren't on the right side of history over here. So Parma lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Suzuki in goal and a back line of Del Prato, Leoni, Balò and Valeri, a double pivot of Soma and Keita, Cancelleri on the left, Man on the right, and Haj Mohammed playing behind Boni. It was a 4-3-3 formation for Baroni's men with Provedel in goal and the back line of Lazzari, Hila, Romagnoli and Pellegrini, a midfield three of Guendouzi, Rovella and Dele Bashiru, and a front three of Isaacson, Castellanos and Zaccagni. Now listen to the sequence of how the game started. So the match started with Rovella netting an absolute screamer in the first minute, only to see it chalked off for his very own foul on Mohamed in the build-up.
Like 5 years ago.
In the build-up to that goal, how Lazio regained possession.
It has been marked by controversy, this decision, because it's being questioned if it was the same sequence, and it's being questioned as well if this was a clear and obvious error to begin with. Because
it was a strike to the face, to be fair. It was to the face.
But to what extent are we going to go on to look for these details when chalking off goals? Like how far back are we going to go with like this? Basically, the main criticism is this isn't the point of VAR. The point of VAR is if the referee missed something that was super obvious, you cancel the goal.
If he missed a strike to the face, which allowed Lazio to regain possession and score. I'm not saying I completely agree with the decision. I don't know the extent of the contact. We never really know the extent of the contact. and how long it was until the goal was scored. But Rovella's hand clearly strikes the
but wasn't there a lost ball, and then wasn't it an opposing player who got the ball and then a Lazio player dispossessed him? There was something like that, I believe.
What, that an opposition player touched it?
Yes, but that ends the sequence. That starts a new sequence, in theory.
I don't know.
That's the thing. Please let us know in the comments, guys, if you have any opinions on this, because I genuinely want to know what you have to say. This was super controversial. The opinions I've seen are very different. People saying that this was the right call because it was indeed the same sequence, and people arguing it was not the same sequence. Please do let us know.
I believe it was the same sequence. If that's how they won the ball, then fucking hell, it should be checked, eh? So the match started with Rovella netting a screamer in the first minute, only to see it chalked up for his very own foul on Mohamed in the build-up. And then Rovella's fortunes went from bad to worse as he played a horrific back pass to Dennis Mann, who opened the scoring for Parma with Rovella's assist. Castellanos then had a goal disallowed for offside, and moments after he saw his shot cleared off the line. Isaacson then also had a shot cleared off the line, and to make matters even worse, Lazio had their penalty overturned by VAR. So those are 4 or 5 occasions where Lazio just got fucked, basically.
They were super unlucky this game. And the scoreline is a little bit...
it's flattering.
Yes, flattering.
And then the second half, 19-year-old Tunisian wonder kid Haj Mohamed scored an audacious goal, catching Providel off his line, getting his first goal in Serie A in his first start. Tati pulled one back for Lazio to make it 2-1 after a comical miscommunication between Suzuki and Valeri, but Del Prato made it 3-1 on the counter as Lazio were caught out looking for that equalizer. So Lazio had an incredibly unlucky first half. I mean, their XG was 2.6 in this game, and they had 72% ball possession. They had 8 shots on target. Suzuki had a brilliant game as well over here. But I feel like their first half, the reckless nature of it and the unpredictability of it, and was so unlucky that it kind of shaped their fortune and their mental space for the rest of the game.
Yes, and it definitely shaped Rovella's mental space because he made a mistake immediately after. And the manager addressed it himself as well. He said that he was disgruntled by it. It's a very uncharacteristical mistake by Rovella, who has been the pulse of this Lazio side. So yes, absolutely. So they were unlucky in that regard with that individual error. That Valeri mistake was comical though.
It was hilarious.
I thought he was attacking for a second when I saw it.
Valeri had an excellent game before that. He was one of the players that cleared the ball off the line.
It's just that Parma curse this season. I think they have something like this every game.
But they were excellent in this game. They defended with their lives, and they were countering very effectively and intelligently. It's not like they were getting caught out in possession the same way that Parma always do, but they were inviting the pressure from Lazio. They know Lazio like having the ball. They let them have the ball, and they hit them on the counter. Of course, it's not as straightforward as them having a great game because Lazio were super, super unlucky, but Parma took advantage of that, right? They were catching them out as a result of that. But warning signs for Lazio. They had a midweek Europa League draw. And
another robbery. No, I'm not saying this one was a robbery, but that one against Ludogorets was a massive robbery.
Was it?
Oh my God. The penalty at the end was a clear penalty. The referee went up to the VAR monitor at the end, shaking his head because he couldn't believe that he was being made to go look at the replay. The replay showed that it was a clear foul on Isaacson. He's seeing it in front of his face, the video of a clear foul, and he doesn't give the penalty. He sticks to his initial... He disagreed with the VAR himself.
That's crazy.
It was horrendous, bro. Horrendous it was.
That's crazy. Why? Lazio are getting hard done.
They're getting hard done.
But is this a sign of fatigue? Is there deeper issues? Is it like I said, streaks come to an end? Are they all that at the end of the day?
I think Lazio were unfortunate this game. They had many chances that they missed. The goals were a result of their own mistakes. The last goal, of course, was a counter-attack because they were trying to commit everything forward. I don't think that this game in particular showed any worrying trends other than the fact maybe that Rovella needs to kind of, be more professional when it comes to these moments. But when a young guy scores a goal like that, has that moment with the fans where he's celebrating, and all of a sudden gets chalked off for his. It was a crazy goal. I mean, that's all that's been missing from his season so far, because he's been so good. When that gets called off, I mean, mentally, I think it's excusable, and I think Baroni won't lose much sleep over this loss. There weren't any worrying trends.
No, and I think the streak isn't everything for Lazio. The 7-game winning streak.
If they get Champions League,
they're top of the group in the Europa League nonetheless. They're easily top 4 in the league at the moment. They play some of the best football we've seen in Serie A this year. So nothing to worry about over there. Just 2 games where they were clearly very, very unlucky.
In fact, Baroni said, I'm proud of my boys at the end of the game. So, good signs.
We know what it's like to lose to Parma. And Parma are just loving sexy magic, bro.
They played bloody champagne football against Milan.
And let's talk a bit about them individually. So, Man was insane. Man was incredible in this game. He really, really was. Ballo and Valeri had really good games. They both cleared the ball off the line. So shout out to them despite Valeri making that mistake. Suzuki, who made some incredible saves in this game, rather than incredible saves, he was consistent and he really takes charge of the penalty box. I know we've seen him get reckless running out of it, but in this game he was really calculated in the box. And obviously Haj Mohammed scored a worldie, and he looked great, bro.
He did.
He looked great because it's big shoes to fill in that attacking midfield role, and he did it great.
What about, did you mention Ballo?
Ballo did have a very good game.
Yeah.
I mentioned him along with Valeri. They both cleared the ball off the line, and they were both very clean defensively.
12 clearances this game.
Madonna.
He had a really good game. But nice to see Parma winning. We mentioned this when they lost to, was it Genoa? Yes, they lost to Genoa, and we're like, it's worrying because now they have to play Atalanta, Lazio, then Inter, and we're like, but we know what this Parma side is like. They'll probably beat Lazio, and here they are.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Lazio, this is their 4th loss of the season. Quite surprising in that sense, because they went on such a run that you tend to forget their shortcomings earlier on in the season. But that's their 4th loss of the season, and they find themselves in 5th place on 28 points, whereas Parma now take a really, really good step in the right direction in 11th place on 15 points.
Man,
just
this
1
is so
point.
Volatile,
Bro, it's unforgiving.
Because it's still so early, man. People forget how early it is.
But it's super early, bro. But we're hitting match day 15. You need to have your shit together by match day 15.
Yes, absolutely. But the way this season has played out so far, man, just the fact that everyone except Juve has lost, but Juve have made up for it with 8 draws. Everyone's still in it, In fact, as we said, sacking a manager right now is risky business. Yeah. However, it shows
some teams are going to have to. We still need to talk about
But Di Francesco has been confirmed to stay on for at least the next game.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm waiting for me, the next manager, to get the sack, and it'll happen sooner rather than later. Zanetti.
Yes, absolutely.
It has to happen, I think.
Absolutely.
Verona are just not it at the moment. But yes... My turn.
Milan.
So, Milan played Empoli, apparently. Couldn't see. Smog joke. Fog joke. No, Milan beat Empoli 3-0. They lined up in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Magnan in goal. Royal, Gabbia, Chow and Teo at the back, with Fofana and Reijnders as the double pivot. Musa on the right, Leao on the left, and Pulisic playing behind Alvaro Morata. For Empoli, it was a 3-5-2 formation with Vasquez in goal, Viti, Ismaili and Goglio Chisi at the back. Pezzella on the left, Gjazi on the right, with Male, Anjorin and Henderson in the middle. Colombo and Pellegrini starting together up front.
This had a Ruolo del Lecce written all over it, with that front too bad.
Absolutely, when both strikers against you have played for you, it's always a worrying sign.
And Jasi's on the wing, like...
I think Milan took a bit of a slow start and then increased the pressure this game. Empoli couldn't cope with the rhythm. Morata opened the scoring just 19 minutes in. following a deflected shot from Leao, and his shot actually took a deflection itself off Goglio Cise. Morata had a really good game. Goglio Cise had a really good game.
He did.
And
he did.
Bro, honestly, this Viti, Ismaili and Gogli partnership at the back is very solid for Empoli.
It is.
And Milan won 3-0 and they still managed to look good. But yeah. And then Reijnders doubled the lead just before halftime after a chaotic sequence which saw him smacking the ball in absolutely beautifully. Empoli's only real threat came in the 55th minute when Maleh struck the crossbar from a distance. It was a venomous strike. Milan capitalized on their lead with a counter-attack in the 70th minute when Fofana intercepted an Empoli pass and launched Reijnders through, who just did everything himself and slotted it in so casually.
Messi.
So good, man, at the moment. That's what I want to just move on to talk about immediately. Tijjani Reijnders, bro.
Form-wise, he's not only the best midfielder in the league at the moment. If you look at his form, he's the best player in the league right now that there is. He's the guy that can take on two players and score. He's the guy that can have a crack from distance and score. He can do it all at the moment. At the moment, he's not putting a fucking foot wrong. So at the moment, Reijnders is the best player in the league.
So a question for you just to feel you out. When Pulisic was scoring every game, what separates him? Like, was Pulisic the best player in the league at that time? I wouldn't have said so.
He was up there.
But what makes Reijnders the best in your opinion?
So he's in the middle of the pitch. He dictates everything for Milan. When it comes to his duties as a bit more of a metronome alongside Fofana. And then when it comes to what he's capable of doing, because he's scoring unbelievable goals and he's pulling off unbelievable assists. If we're talking output, I know Pulisic was scoring a goal a game or he was getting an involvement every game, either a goal or an assist. See what Reijnders is doing, bro. He scored a double against... he just scored against Sassuolo as well. He scored a double against Empoli. He scored I think 6 goals in his last 6 matches.
Scored against Madrid.
He scored against Real Madrid. And you look at how he's scoring these goals, bro. They're not tap-ins. One of these was a volley from the edge of the area on the turn. Beautiful. And in the other one, he took on 2 players and just placed the ball simply, leaving the keeper rooted to the spot. He's magical. Even his touch and how the ball is glued to his feet, his vision, the way he drags players along with him to give Leao more space as well. And
he gets stuck in defensively as well, man. Like, he's against Empoli, he had 3 tackles, you know. I doubt Empoli were on the ball much, but he managed to dispossess them 3 times, you know.
Is he not the best player in the league at the moment, in your opinion?
I think he might be, bro, to be honest with you. And
form-wise, he is.
Form-wise, yes. And it's a little bit worrying because the whole world is looking at a player like this, right? They would be looking at a player like this because any team could do with a player of his qualities in midfield.
Absolutely.
And I'm just happy that he seems over the moon to be at Milan. The renewal talks are happening, but apparently they're going to be finalized at the end of the season. And I'm wondering if this guy finishes the season with double digits goals and assists, which at this point it's looking likely. I'm worried if the likes of Real Madrid come knocking, if the likes of PSG come knocking with a massive contract. I just hope he's enamored by the club enough to stay.
It's a second season.
Because it's a second season, so. And at the moment he's happy with the contract talks and the way things are going. But if he starts seeing what could be, maybe that will change his mind.
It could be, but let's enjoy him for the rest of the season.
And the duels, man, by the way, against Empoli, barely lost a duel. Possession lost 7 only, and he plays these audacious passes.
What is it about high-scoring midfielders in Fonseca's system? He did the same thing with Mkhitaryan. Now, I know he's not playing as a trequartista, kind of is at times, because you see him slotting in behind the striker.
Reijnders. Who was the striker for Fonseca when he was at Roma? Was it Dzeko? It was Dzeko, right? And he fell out.
Striker, Dzeko,
I think Dzeko doesn't really fit what Fonseca wants in a striker, to be honest with you. Because, in fact, they did fall out. And I think the striker's role in a Fonseca system is to open up space for other players to thrive, and I think that's what TG is doing. Plus his form is just his confidence is through the roof. So, and not to mention the fact that Milan right now, man, you're up against Milan. You've got Leao and Pulisic to worry about. You have Morata to worry about. You probably, the coach is like, all right, we're double manning Leao. Keep your eye on Pulisic, okay? Be careful because Morata's going to make runs to open up space for Pulisic. And next thing you know is Reijnders is getting the ball in midfield in a sea of space. And he's just learning how to make the most out of it because he's found himself in these situations so many times this season.
Isn't that why it's so disappointing that Milan are where they are right now?
But it was, Milan with a new coach after having Pioli for so long, we're very unlikely to hit the ground running.
That's true.
And people, again, often forget that there is a learning curve to playing for a new manager. It was initially rejected by the likes of Theo and Leao, and that's what actually allowed these players to kind of step up, right? The likes of Pulisic became a leader. Reijnders now is stealing the show.
Baby Reindeer.
I think as it stands right now, Milan just have standout players everywhere to the point I think Leao and Theo have been pushed a little bit to the side. More Theo than Leao, because Leao, of course, is still absolutely
Theo's all over the news at the moment.
Unbelievable. Theo's all over the news.
All over the news.
And it's fake news.
Listen, I don't know. As in the footage is horrific.
But the restaurant denied the existence of the footage. Really? He said it's manipulated. Yeah, the restaurant where Corona said it was taken from. At least,
yes. It's his cousin's restaurant. You never know. What was I going to say? Now there's a test for Milan. Because Milan can do this. We know they can do this. When they take control of a game in this way, when they get their attacking juices flowing, they can be unstoppable. We know they can do this. Friday, Atalanta-Milan.
Be there.
Be there or be square. Aren't Milan going to get creamed though against Atalanta, for example? Creamed.
I hate playing Atalanta.
It's a good thing you don't have to, bro, because our boys have got us covered.
Pioli had figured it out. Pioli had figured it out after Atalanta would pretty much get an instant victory just by stepping into the pitch against Milan. Pioli had figured it out. I'm not sure if Fonseca has it figured out, to be honest. He hates playing man-to-man and against man-to-man teams.
He made it clear,
He made it very clear. He told everyone on international news in the Champions League.
4-0 Atalanta written all over it. CDK, Doppietta, Lukman Retegui.
He has a solution. I don't have a good feeling about it, but hopefully he has a solution.
And it's Friday
CDK
night,
scores for sure.
It's Friday night and I'm alone, by the way. The girls have something. You have a fucking techno party after the game. Yeah, you're gonna be in a good mood after the game.
I'm gonna need to dance it off, bro.
Just for your awareness, we're an hour 20 in.
Excellent timing so far. Yes,
I think that one game less to cover.
I think that Empoli just couldn't cope with Milan's firepower. They lacked intensity while Milan were pressing high and dispossessing Empoli non-stop at the back. And I think that Milan absolutely blew them away.
It was the press for Milan, man. The press was incredible. That's what won them the game. Because Empoli are a team that, we've seen them very sound defensively and we haven't seen them clumsy on the ball. But the way that Milan were pressing them, they forced so many errors from them. And that's what you do, man. That's what you do against a smaller team.
Absolutely. Milan are in 7th with 22 points, while Empoli are in 10th with 16 points.
Bologna 3, Venezia 0.
Whoa!
Bologna bounced back after a midweek home loss to Lille and a 3-0 loss to Lazio just before that, after Tommy P fed his appetite with a red card. Venezia, ring-a-ding, it's official, ring-a-ding. Venezia have gathered their 10th loss in 14 matches. But don't worry, guys, don't worry. Di Francesco's here to stay. Excellent news.
I don't even know if it's a Di Francesco problem, to be honest.
It's an everything problem. It's an everything problem. It's every single decision they've made in summer problem.
The squad, when I watch them, it's just like, I'm like, wow, Aristania, what flashes. Wow, Zampano, how much he runs on the way.
Zampano,
how late he is to every cross. you know?
4-2-3-1 for Italianos, men Skorupski in goal, backline of Miranda, Lukumi, Beukema and De Silvestri, Mora and Freuler in the double pivot, a very good double pivot in this game, very controlling double pivot. Carlson, Odgaard and Ndoye starting behind Castro, whereas for Venezia it's a 3-4-2-1 formation with Stankovic in goal and a backline of Idzes, Svoboda and Zverko. Candela on the right, Haps on the left, double pivot of Duncan and Caviglia, with Oristano and Buzio flanking Poyam Pom Pom Pom. Now Bologna returned to winning ways with a straightforward win against last place Venezia, let's be real. Dan Ndoye opened the scoring in the first half, converting a penalty after being fouled by Haps. That was his first goal of the season. The hosts tightened their grip in the second half as substitute Orsolini converted another penalty following a VAR review, which spotted Idzes' foul after a defensive clusterfuck along with Svoboda. Very, very clumsy, so the penalty was...
Did you know?
Tell us, bro, tell us.
That Jay, it says, is the first ever Indonesian in Serie.
You love this so much, Jay. You really, really love it.
Como will buy him.
You think?
They've got Indonesian owners.
Man. You can't take it because he'll smoke all the tobacco. Moments later, Orsolini's low cross set up Dan Ndoye for his second, sealing a comfortable 3-0 victory for Bologna. Last season, Ndoye had a total of 1 goal and 2 assists, but he scored 2 goals in this match. So congratulations, Ndoye. Huh?
Congratulations, Ndoye. Outdoing his 1 goal last season.
But he's the reason I'm happy for him is A, Fanta. B, he struggled with some muscular issues. He was sidelined on 3 different occasions with very minor muscular issues. And sometimes those are worse than having 1-2-monther, bro. Because 1-2-monther, you can avoid burnout, like you can chill a little, you can hang with your family. But when you have these frustrating one-match injuries, it really doesn't let you grow into a season. And this is what he needed, and this is what Bologna needed, man. Bologna needed a game where they can just fuck someone, man.
It's true.
They were out together, the wolf pack, and they all got laid, bro. That is exactly what
true.
They
Everyone
needed.
had a good game. Everyone. And crazily enough, they actually matched their XG, which never happens in Italiano systems, you know. And they actually got quite close to getting something from their game against Lille as well. They lost 2-1. They scored their first goal in the Champions League since their return there, and it was Lukumi who had a massive moment scoring. You know, the crowd went mental. They're not having a good campaign at all in the Champions. They haven't won a single game.
Last,
yes, but it just goes to show, man, how much it means to these fans, because they celebrated that Lukumi goal so passionately and intensely. But yes, finally, Italiano, finally.
But I mean, Venezia.
Yes.
10 losses.
But, you know, confidence.
But this is exactly what
because
they needed.
Now in the Coppa Italia, they blew Monza away 4-0, for example. So this could be the start of... Now Juve next.
There you go.
Let's see. The team that concedes the fewest goals in the league. And the team that's never lost.
A team that's struggling at the moment.
Yes. And then Benfica in the Champions League. Then
Fiorentina,
Derby.
Torino. Yes. But good shift in momentum for Bologna. And I think going forward, as long as... like. In this game, they weren't threatened by Venezia in the slightest. They had full liberty to attack and express themselves, which is a good exercise because that is where they were struggling. But they had good width. I really like how Castro's dropping in deep and allowing these guys to get closer to goal. I think we saw that it served Ndoye well in this game where he scored a penalty, but he won the penalty as well. And he obviously scored the second goal as well. Orsolini, who's very talented. We saw Odgaard have a really good game over here as well, just behind Castro. Castro, when he's invisible, you almost know he's having a good game, man.
Because he's almost a regista.
Because you think he's a midfielder. Like who's that midfielder? How good he is. Castro, yeah.
So Di Francesco's been confirmed on the bench. I think his last chance will be the Como game. That's a must-win for Venezia. If they lose,
they win.
I'll bet you money that if they lose...
So Como's their next game.
Como's their next game.
And that's probably, well, if Fabregas didn't own the fucking team, then it would be the last straw for him as well. Because Como and Venezia, mamma mia, man. But this Venezia is, like I said, 10th loss of the season. The most alongside Verona. 4 losses in a row. They just never seemed like they were prepared coming into this season, man. It's like they never believed they could get promoted in the first place. And they just spent the entire fucking summer partying, getting zibel. It's like, Gitker and Poyampalo, keep them both, sign no one else. Bring in the Soristanio guy, and we're good to go. It's fine if we lose Tessman. We'll get this Caviglia guy on loan, this young buck. You know, and
I think they
never prepared. Let's get Di Francesco, who got relegated with Frosinone last year. What's your vision? Cool kids getting a gondola to the stadium. That's the ceiling of the team. That's what they want it to be, because that's what it seems like. It doesn't take a smart person to notice that it doesn't seem like this team has big ambitions, man.
It's true. And the last time they were in Serie A, they made the mistake of not bringing enough Serie A experienced players, right? Now they do have. At least they didn't make the same mistake. In fact, that's why they're not completely down and out yet. They've got a few. Like, I think the Duncan signing was excellent. Because Duncan is a player who was underrated everywhere he's been. At Fiorentina, at Sassuolo, he's a good player. Very good player. However, the rest are not really players who have much experience in the league.
No, bro.
Buzio has played there, sure, but one season with Venezia.
No, this is...
Haps, not much experience.
This is virtually their Serie B team. Yeah. It's virtually their Serie B.
And there's a fine line between rewarding the players who got you promoted and just getting instantly relegated again.
But rewarding as well, I get you. But isn't this a sports team?
It is.
Isn't this a sports team that, okay, players, we love you, we want to reward you, we'll keep you, we'll up your salary, whatever, you're going to get these benefits, take this day off, go with your wife while she gives birth, go on holiday, have a break, this and that. We want results. We believe this guy can do a better job. We'll rotate you. We'll play on the league. That's an element of rewarding. You're up in Serie A, man. You have to make adjustments to the team. How poor are they? I don't know, man. I genuinely it blows my mind the lack of investment they made, and not only that, the manager, man. What they do bringing in Di Francesco. If you had to tell me what's the worst manager Venezia can get? One of these Serie A ones, what's the worst one they could get? It's Di Francesco. And
they like the brand. They want a positive, entertaining brand to wear, to kind of rock with their kits, you know, they're entertaining. And they value entertainment.
Sick. Look at their bench. Raimondo, Altare, Chernigoy and Ellertson.
Dominigoy. I'm sure his name is Dominigoy. It's something like Domendo.
But that's my rundown. Basically, Bologna needed a game like this, and Venezia suck, man.
Yes,
Venezia really suck.
One more point before we move on is how is Emil Holm not even starting ahead of De Silvestri?
It's true.
You know, De Silvestri got injured, so we might finally see Holm, but. He's dipped a bit, huh?
And then De Silvestri's been starting the past 3-4 games.
And he's never bothered me as a player, De Silvestri. I really enjoy him.
No.
He's a good
I think it's probably more of a stylistic thing because they've got Moreno on the left who bombs forward and he's their DeMarco in that sense.
Miranda, right?
Miranda, sorry. What did I say?
Moreno.
Miranda. And on the other side, maybe they want someone, you know, De Silvestri isn't exactly going to bomb forward with his age and his legs.
Yeah.
You know?
And like he used to in his Torino days, how I miss
Exactly. It would be good to rotate a little bit because he deserves some minutes. But Bologna, yes, they're in 8th place on 21 points. Not too fucking shabby. Game in hand against Milan. And in fact, they're 1 point behind Milan. That's going to be a juicy encounter when it happens. Venezia, guess where? Lost 8 points.
Oof. The next game was between Cagliari and Hellas Verona, and the match ended in a 1-0 victory for Cagliari.
Come on, Cagliari.
Hell yes. Alan Sherry was in goal for Cagliari in their 3-4-1-2 formation with Zappa, Mina and Luperto forming a back three. Look at that. What an offensive
Lapadula,
option over there, bro.
Piccoli,
No, I'm talking about Zappa playing as a third centre back. Because like that, Zortea and Zappa can overlap each other. And then you've got Augello on the other side as well. So you've got 3 outfield players who can whip in a dirty, you know what I mean?
Davide and Nicola.
David and Nicola.
Nicola
Let
David.
him cook.
Nicola David sounds better than Davide and Nicola.
No, we'll send him an email. Zortea was out on the right, Augello on the left, with Makumbu and Marin in the middle. Luvumbo was playing as an attacking midfielder, back to basics, behind Lapadula and Piccoli. So you can tell, love to see it. This is such an offensive lineup.
And Augello with his bird back in the cage, bro, is
fucking
different
good.
Player.
He's good. He's better than he was before, when he lost his bird, man.
When he lost his parrot, you could see it. He was overthinking every decision he was making on the pitch.
Thank God he took to Facebook and found his beloved parrot. Honestly,
game changer.
Yes. If you're wondering what we're talking about, this actually happened.
He lost his bird, but he took it to Facebook. But Also, I'll always love Augello, because you remember we were watching Cagliari live in the stadium, and I'm just like, I'm gonna start him. I'm gonna start this guy, and he scored, bro. It was metal, and you didn't start Viola because you're a fucking pussy, bro. You didn't start Viola, and he scored a 92nd minute header.
While I'm wearing his kit,
literally, my
incredible.
God, you, whatever.
Anyway, Montepo was in goal for Hellas Verona under 4-4-2 formation levels. Cagliari trying to attack, trying to go for an offensive approach. Meanwhile, block 4-4-2 flat for Zanetti. Bradaric, Coppola, Magnani and Chachua were at the back, with Lazovic on the left, Suslov on the right, Serdar and Belayan in the middle, Tengsted starting up front with Dylon, Rocha, Livramento. So the match actually started with a moment of silence for Mario Valeri. Who is Mario Valeri, you might ask me? Mario Valeri played for Cagliari between 1973 and 1978. He has 122 appearances for them. He was a defender, Italian defender. He's also represented the likes of Fiorentina, Salernitana, and also Sorso.
Lazio as well.
And Lazio, but had no appearance.
Roasted. Yeah.
But yeah.
He passed away, what?
He passed away, yes, hence the moment of silence.
No.
Yeah. Early on, Cagliari looked to push forward. Augello created 2 decent opportunities for Mina and Piccoli, but both shots went wide. Verona were more cautious. They created dangerous counterattacks with Tengsted as the reference point. Livramento, of course, had a shot that was blocked by Mina. Cagliari's offense was focused down the left side. You can see Lovumbo dropping in over there, but Verona did well to contain him. The game continued with some back and forth action, and Montepo made a brilliant save off Zappa's header from a corner. This was Vania-esque when it comes to the reflexes that it took, bro, because it was so close. He was so close to the line of the goal that he barely had any time to actually get his hand up to block the shot. Okay. You know what? It was so close range. One of those. Yeah, cat-like save.
He's great.
He's great.
He's an awesome goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is. Cagliari had a few more half chances, including a shot from Luvumbo just before halftime, but both teams went into the break scoreless. In the second half, it started with Adopo replacing Marin for Cagliari. Marin was booked. He looked frustrated. He didn't have his best game. Verona came out stronger, though. Tengsted and Bradaric both had shots that Sherry saved. Tengsted actually missed quite a bad chance after Bradaric set him up quite well. The defining moment of the match came in the 75th minute when Piccoli scored the only goal, receiving a perfect assist from inspired Cagliari substitute Felici. Bro, Felici came on, and honestly, I didn't think they had a player who was this dangerous on the bench. Felici, he was so good, bro. He was taking on players, dribbling, 1-2ing with people. I think he's a youth product, brother. We've seen him before here and there, but never actually. He never got a good run.
Felici rocking the quiff, though.
He is rocking the blonde quiff. You're gonna give us some details on the boy?
I mean, he's 23 years old. That's pretty. that's pretty much all I have. You're gonna give us some details. He has 18 appearances in Serie B, 4 appearances in Serie A. It seems like. God, there's no history of him here. I need to look him up.
Don't worry. I'll continue with my
yeah, please.
Thing. But yes, Piccoli actually scored. This was a goal against an ex-team again, actually, because he had been employed by Verona before. Verona tried to respond, but they lacked clinical finishing. In the dying moments of the game, Montepò made a few great saves to deny Felici himself and Viola from extending Cagliari's lead. Aubert hit the post for Cagliari, and despite Verona's late pressure, they couldn't find an equalizer, and Cagliari actually did secure the victory. There was a really big miss by Lazovic at the end of the first half, and in the 55th minute he hit the post himself, Lazovic. So those were pretty much Verona's only chances of actually threatening. But I think Cagliari were much the better side in this game. Just to put it into perspective, they had an XG of 1.83 to Verona's 0.70. They had 64% ball possession, and Cagliari had 6 big chances, while Hellas Verona had 1. Cagliari's keeper, Sherry, made 2 saves, while Hellas Verona's goalkeeper, Montepò, made 4 saves.
Wow. I have 2 things to say. I'm going to start off with something a bit separate. There's Rooney with gloves. There's Ronaldo with noodle hair. There's Henry with the O2 sponsor. And there's Augello with his parrot back at home. Okay, just to set the tone for you.
And Luvumbo with his short shorts.
Luvumbo with his short shorts. Mattia Felici, on the other hand, yes, he's actually been all over the place with these Serie B/fringe Serie A teams. He was born in Rome. He had stints at like Treteste. That's crazy.
3 balls, 3 testicles.
He played for the under-19.
Oh, he played like he had 3 testicles. I'm telling you, bro, he changed the game when he came on. He got them this victory, honestly.
He played for Lecce. He played for Palermo. He played for Triestina. He played for Ferral Pesaro.
Recently, probably, right?
3 balls, but a Pizzello.
They were in the playoffs. Ferral Pesaro. They had a really good season.
Okay.
He was there, so okay, interesting.
Back to Triestina to Ferral Pesaro, and then to Cagliari, signed for 2 million. So
nice. Excellent. Yes, Cagliari deserved this. They created a lot of problems with their overlapping wing backs. Very dynamic up front for this level with Piccoli and Lapadula and Luvumbo. Of course, they created many problems. Their substitutes actually made them stronger, unlike Verona. And they came out to win this game, and they managed, while Verona came out a little bit too cautious for my liking. And Zanetti, I think, is at risk.
I mean, it's good that they've got players like Adopo, Viola, and Felici that they can bring on. Not to mention players like Deola, Prati, Palomino, Vietesca to a certain degree as well. Gaetano, who's been struggling. Yankto.
Yankto, man, what on earth happened to Yankto?
I have a story about him.
Yankto?
No, I'm joking. Mutandwa, who, of course, high praise. He's a youth product that is very dangerous as well. He has a bright future. It's all about fielding the right 11, and it seems like Nicola never sticks to the same starting 11. We see him go over here for the Lapadula, Piccoli with Luvumbo playing behind him.
I love this, man. You know, I mean, it might not make sense to start Lapadula against the bigger teams, but these are the games you play him. And then they brought on Pavoletti as well. It's great.
Exactly.
He's managing the team really well, Nicola.
And 100%. And I think I'm going to say they found their guy, whatever. It's Cagliari. You often need someone fresh to motivate a team that's often fighting relegation, you know?
Yeah.
But he knows his players, and it's probably the reason he gets is because he's always so tight with his players, no? He always has such a good relationship with his players. He often bonds with them emotionally.
Yeah.
And that he gets to know his players. Who's not only who's gonna be the best regista in this game, who's the best striker in this game, who has the personality to go in there in this game, who's gonna smash it.
If you're wondering, Mustache man from Serie Spotlight, how do you possibly know this? Joseph Minala told us.
He was on our podcast.
Yes.
Who's Joseph Minala, you might ask? Go watch the podcast.
In 2017, Joseph Minala
transitions. It's a 5-hour podcast, and then on the other hand, Verona, who unfortunately, the first thing they think of when they enter the race is, Madonna, I hope we don't lose.
Yeah.
We can't lose this game. We can't. Yeah. They don't think about how we're going to go there and win this game. It's let's not lose.
And it's a different mentality to that we saw in the first match of the season, where we thought, wow, Hellas Verona are going to have a randomly good season yet again, because they've been on the down for so long, but they always manage to survive. So we'll see. They are currently in 17th with 12 points, while Cagliari are in 13th with 14 points. So still tight.
Yeah.
Tight.
No, and
this is a 6-pointer.
How Verona would it be if they survive on the last game of the season?
How Verona would it be if they sell what's his name? Lazaro, Tengstedt, and Belayan in January, bring in 3 players no one's ever heard of, survive, and then sell one of those 3 players for 25 million to Napoli. That would be so Hellas Verona.
They'll buy someone named Zlatan Maximovic. It's the absurd names that you get on FM when you reach
Neil hats off, something like that.
The year 2047, and it starts giving you these players. That's who Verona signed. Udinese nil Genoa 4 points in 2 matches for Genoa under Vieira, as Udinese hit a tough spell as they are winless in 5 with 4 losses. 4-4-2 formation for Udinese. When I say Toure's name, I just wanted to go that, okay? Okoye in goal, and a back line of Ezibwe, Gianetti, Toure, and Zemura. Gianetti also scored an own goal, so let's give him a as well. Nice. Midfield 4 of... I always fuck this guy up, man. Ekkelenkamp, Karlstrom, Lovrich, and Thuvan, with Davis and Lucca starting up front together. Nice, bro. They listened to us. They started Lucca and they lost.
They took him out.
4-1,
and they kept Davis on. I was fuming.
4-1-4-1 formation for Vieira's men. I'm not going to get used to that ever. Leali in goal, a backline of Sabelli, Bani, Vasquez, and Martin. Badel was in the regista role. Zanoli on the right, Miretti on the left. Thorsby and Frendrup were in the central midfield roles, with Pinamonti up front.
It might be Coco, but it's definitely not Martin.
So the commentator says Martin.
I like saying he's very thorough with his information.
Yes, bro. Calls him Martin.
Yeah, he doesn't like to mispronounce.
Let's say Martin though.
Martin.
Aaron Martin, not Aaron Martin.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
So Udinese's poor start was compounded by Isaac Toure's reckless elbow on Alessandro Zanoli, earning him a red card within 2 minutes. Reduced to 10 men, Udinese struggled defensively, and Pinamonti opened the scoring in the 13th minute, finishing a clever flick from Morten Thorsby. Despite moments of effort from Udinese, including a snapshot from Jordan Zemura, Genoa doubled their lead in the second half when Zanoli's cross was accidentally deflected in by Lautaro Gianetti. This 2-0 victory secured Patrick Vieira's first win as Genoa manager and left Udinese in disarray. So a game characterized by crucial errors for Udinese, right? Udinese, yes. They've had a good start to the season in comparison to how they've been doing recently. They've been battling relegation. They brought in this Runjaic, and he's really managed to change things around. But you've got to feel like his players let him down over here.
Absolutely, 100%.
It couldn't have been more their fault.
I am so pissed off at how good they're making Vieira look.
Hey, man.
You know, all right, it's true. He's got 4 points out of 6, okay. He's just beaten Udinese, who have been a good team, but Udinese beat themselves this game.
Yes,
you don't get a red card a minute into the game. That changes the entire dynamic of the game. You know, I mean, granted, there was still work to do, but it was a much easier task. You know, they're making him look much better in reality than he would have probably looked had there been a fit full 11.
What do you do with Isaac Toure? What do you do? Because it's not like he's doing other things that makes you think, he just had 3 off days out of 14 matches,
I think you need to not play him for a while.
2 red cards. Clear discipline issue, and if it's not a discipline issue, he's being caught out of position and he's fucking bringing players down, you know, because he's out of position and they were going to capitalize off that situation. So it's either a discipline problem or he's clumsy as fuck. Either way, he's getting red cards. And the own goal against Atalanta, it's an own goal, it's a mistake. Gianetti made that mistake. The own goal is forgivable. Unless it's the World Cup and you play for Colombia and it's in the 70s or whatever. That wasn't that forgivable.
Not at all, for that one guy. You heard the details of what he shouted when You know that story, right? So this is Matthew's obviously referring, for those who don't know, to Escobar, yes. A player for Colombia who scored an own goal in a very important match for Colombia, World Cup match, I believe.
He was murdered.
And he was murdered for it. Apparently he was warned not to go out, and he went out anyway. And the rumor is, the word on the street, it's not really, it's said, but it's not documented, is that the guy who shot him yelled goal every time he shot him. That's fucked. That's fucked. Yeah.
Our dad's been telling us to watch a documentary, Two Escobars, I think, for 7 years now.
We've never watched it.
If you weren't going out on Friday, it would be mental, watching the Two Escobars.
You're really holding this over me, this fact that I'm going out on Friday.
It's a disaster, what are you doing to me? Let's give Vieira his flowers. How good, Vieira. When you played 10 men, you forced them into an own goal. And you really made use of your 11 players over 10. No, they used the wings really well in this game, Genoa. That's the one thing that I noticed. Martin and Zanoli were excellent in this game, particularly. They were really stretching their
Even
opponents.
In the game against Cagliari, they were good.
Mm-hmm.
So, he likes to deploy wide players. He also played Miretti wide against Cagliari, which is an interesting thing. But I mean, there isn't really much to analyze about this game. I mean, we can see the way he likes to attack. He likes to attack using width.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to force errors through chaos and confusion. But I don't think there's enough of a sample size for us to actually say, like, he's doing well or he's not doing well. I mean, the Cagliari result was...
They threw it away.
Exactly.
Cagliari,
not to be harsh.
Then again, against
standard.
Milan, they came 3-3.
Exactly.
So.
It's a standard draw in a relegation 6-pointer. That's what that was. This one was a good victory. However, Udinese shot themselves in the
exactly.
period.
But also, Pinamonti has been sharp as fuck this year, and we haven't. He already has 5 goals this year, Pinamonti, which is excellent.
It is.
It's very, very good. He's been top, Pinamonti, and he's been top in big moments when they. Well, at the moment, everything is a big moment.
And he also got an assist against Como, which is very unlike him.
There you go. Congratulations, Pinamonti. Balotelli had a cameo. He came on and I think he had a shot and he slipped. I don't know if
He touched the ball 6 times and he had 1 successful pass.
And
he lost possession 3 times.
The solution. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this match. Interesting to see how Udinese bounce back as they're going through quite a negative spell as well. Let me actually pull up their upcoming fixtures and their previous fixtures as well, because I believe it's quite a slump for them. I mentioned that they lost 4 out of their last 5 matches and one of them was a draw. So actually things are turning around quite rapidly for Udinese, who had quite a promising start. Their next game is away to Monza, and then they play home against Napoli. But if we look at their previous results, they lost 3-2 to Venezia. That's when I believe Isaac Toure got the red card. Losh. They lost 2-0 to Juve. They lost 2-1 to Atalanta. They drew to Empoli, and now they've lost to Genoa. So, a lot of work that needs to be done for them. So they currently find themselves in... I'm putting a Drake.
Yeah.
Udinese currently find themselves in 9th place with 17 points, just 1 point ahead of Empoli. Whilst Genoa find themselves in 14th place on 14 points. Things looking a lot better for them now.
Yes, things are not looking a lot better for the likes of Como and Monza, who failed to win yet again. They came 1-1. Of course, Como were at home in their beautiful stadium. And this is the first Lombardy. This is a lesser-known Lombardy derby, right? It's not one that many people know about, and it's the first of its kind in Serie A. Because Monza are new to Serie A and Como are new to Serie A.
Exactly. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Pretty wild how the tide is shifting.
It's so funny because these are places you go, like we go to when we're in Milan. It's like we go there, you know.
That's true. I don't know what just reminded me of this, but I was talking to a colleague of mine today who supports Catania. Apparently, Stouraro's playing with them. He's the highest earner and he missed a terrible chance.
Really?
Yes, the other day.
Crazy.
They're in Serie C. Stouraro's playing in Serie C.
Madonna.
Yeah. So yes, Como. Peperina on goal. Van der Bremt at the back with Goldanega, Kempf and Moreno. Engelhardt and D'Acunha were the double pivot with Strefezza and Fadera out wide. Nico Paz was playing behind Patrick Cutrone. For Monza, it was a 3-4-2-1 formation with Turati in goal, Carboni, Mari and Caldirola at the back, Kyriakopoulos on the left, Pereira on the right, Bianco and Bondo in the middle, with Caprari and Dani Mota flanking the big man Milan Djuric.
Big man with a big thing.
Yes. Como had the better of the early exchanges, with Fadera coming close to scoring early on with a curling shot that narrowly missed the target. Monza responded with a powerful shot from Kyriakopoulos in the 12th minute, but Reina was able to punch it away. It's hilarious how Reina's still playing if you think about it. You remember when we were young, watching the Liverpool, bro. And he's there like on one of those TVs that's like curved, you know, and Reina's on it like, and he's still playing. And he looks exactly the same.
Literally, bro, literally.
Yeah. That's amazing. The match followed a clear pattern. Como dominated possession while Monza sat back. They waited for opportunities to exploit space, particularly on the right wing where Fadera left gaps. And the first real chance of Monza actually came in the 32nd minute when Caldirola failed to convert a header from a Bianco cross was straight at the goalkeeper. It was Como who took the lead in the 36th minute. Yes, in the 36th minute through Engelhardt. This was his first ever goal in Serie A. It was a corner that was flicked to Goldanega, whose shot was blocked, and it fell to Engelhardt, who headed home the rebound. And it was, again, as I said, his first ever goal in Serie A. Big moment for him. He loved it.
It sounds like a pilot. Like there's a movie about some World War II pilot. Engelhardt.
That's true. Especially when you pronounce it in a British accent.
Engelhardt. Anyway.
Como came close to doubling their lead just before halftime when Strefezza's shot was blocked by Bianco. Monza came out strong in the second half and had an early chance with a free kick. And eventually they did get a penalty from this free kick because Paz handled the ball in the box. He jumped like a chicken with his arms flailing in the air, Nico Paz. While he's good with the ball, when he's defending in his own box, yes, he defends like a chicken. There was a VAR review. It was quite obvious, to be honest. Caprari stepped up and he scored the penalty. This was his 50th goal in Serie A. And it had been quite a while since he scored, since May 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. Monza kept the pressure on, and in the 20th minute, Maldini played... in the 20th minute, my ass, what am I talking about? Towards the end of the game was one of the last actions. Maldini, who had come on, had this incredible, audacious back heel spinning assist to Djuric to play him through one-on-one. Djuric shot and kind of fell. He lost balance and it hit the post kind of on the outside. He should have definitely scored. It would have been a phenomenal assist by Maldini. And then after that, it was Bellotti's turn for a massive miss. Terrible miss at the end as well, where he skied it. But yeah, I think that a fun fact was that Monza are the team who have conceded the most headers in Serie A, while Como were a team who scored the fewest. I think they hadn't even scored a header in Serie A this season, if that's correct. So a very interesting statistic over there. To me, I thought that Como looked really leggy this game. And in the second half, Monza just looked so much more alive than Como did. And they looked so much fitter and healthier and more eager. I don't know what this fitness issue is with Como. Maybe the players are suffering with fatigue, but yeah.
It's hard to say, man. I think what you have over here is two teams that don't know how to win at the end of the day. I mean...
Or two teams who prioritize not losing, maybe.
Two teams as well, maybe, that don't prioritize losing. I mean... Como took the lead, and I think what you're referencing maybe... was this after the goal that they seemed leggy?
It was in the... 1 second. Yes, of course, because they scored in the 36th minute.
No, after... I'm saying after
in the second half. Just in the second half, the way Como came out and the way Monza came out, Como looked tired compared to Monza.
How interesting.
It really is. I don't have an answer as to why, but it could simply be a little detail like a training plan. You know?
Very strange.
It is, yeah. Or it could be natural fitness or pre-season. It could be so many factors. But it was an observation that was, I think, quite quite clear.
Well, it's also 19th against 18th, huh? 19th against 18th. So a 6-pointer, but you don't want to lose that.
Biscotto.
Biscotto. That could very much be the case, but with you mentioning those missed chances at the end, I doubt it was a Biscotto. They're just, unfortunately, bro, like I said, they don't know how to win games. They're sharp.
Yeah. That's
the thing. I think they both Nesta and Fabregas prioritize playing a certain brand of football and doing this and that. Well, in actual fact, what two teams like that need is someone that knows how to win games.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need. You see Conte, for example, the way that he's winning these games 1-0, even when he doesn't deserve to, he's squeezing out a victory. That's what we need to see more out of these sides.
And it's crazy, the duality of a young player in Nico Paz who can win you some games with moments of brilliance, but then lose you games through moments of inexperience, like sheer inexperience, because the way he was flopping around in that box.
That's silly, huh?
It was chicken-esque, bro. Honestly, like a bloody chicken.
Pallon vuoto. He was playing pallon vuoto.
But yes, quite an entertaining draw that had me on my toes till the end. And Como, yes, as you mentioned, you've already said this actually. Como in 18th with 11 points, Monza in 19th with 10 points. Como, of course, 1 point away from safety, Monza 2 points away from safety.
These, in my opinion, are teams that should start looking in the market for managers. Definitely. To me, there's the bottom three, Venezia, Monza, and Como. Now they could, a win for either of them could change a lot. A singular win, especially for Como and Monza. One win will take them out of the relegation zone. But these are the teams that should really, really be looking at managers. I would say Venezia, Monza, Como, Torino.
Agreed.
And to a certain degree, maybe whatever, Parma. Those are the teams that should start fucking looking around. Because let's exclude Parma. They're underperforming those. Venezia aren't underperforming. Venezia need a miracle. And if they need a miracle, then they need to start thinking about making an adjustment now.
I think on paper, they're one of the worst. They are the worst probably in Serie when it comes to personnel, players.
100%.
Especially when it comes to the attack, man, because their defense is okay. They're actually quite strong at the back. They're quite dependable. The guys they have, it says, is really good. Svoboda and Zverko, they're all right. The midfield is all right too. It's not the worst. Duncan, Nicolucci, you can kind of get it done. And their wingers are tireless, nothing flashy, but they're tireless. But the strikers they have are really lacking, and you need someone to score the goals. And it could be. You don't even need a star, you know what I mean? Like Piccoli's getting the job done for Cagliari, you know?
Exactly.
So, I think in January it needs to be addressed.
100%.
For them.
100%.
But yeah, brother, what did we promise at the start of the episode that we'll do at the end of the episode?
We're going to tell them the kits.
The kits. Each other. Okay, this is going to be hilarious because I have a feeling it might be the same.
Well, but we need to. We're editing the video. As in, this is going to be tricky. But we did it on video last time, no?
No, last time we hadn't been doing video episodes yet, bro. I think it was a year ago. But don't worry, we can just we just won't, like I'll edit the video, I just won't go to that part.
Okay. I'm gonna do it.
Wait.
Cover your ears.
How are we gonna do it?
Cover your ears and look away. Cover your ears and look away. Tennis man. Okay, I'm done.
I actually didn't hear anything. Reijnders. Alright.
Crazy, I didn't hear the guy. No, imagine we're getting each other the same
Might
thing.
be the same one.
Let's
we got the same team.
Literally.
I got you a Scalvini kit and you got me a Coop Miners kit. And we guessed, right, on the pod?
Yes. Let's just do this so that we watch the video and say like we can't look before this point. Okay, cool. I'm gonna do that. Nice, okay. Just to be safe. Thank you very much for listening, guys. What a weekend of Serie we have coming up. We'll see you all next week. There's Coppa Italia action, but we should be able to record relatively early next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll keep you in the loop. See you all next week and love you all.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
The football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake?
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.